Might be a 50-50 split. Okay, now it is 7 a.m. Thank you, Len. I got the okay from Len to call this meeting to order. I'm your Vice President of Education, Kate, and I'm stepping in for Maggie today, who is on the road. So, Madam Secretary couldn't call us to order, but I believe she might be listening in. Looks like she is. I would love to welcome you all here and share who is in the space so far. We have on Zoom Margot and Steve and Beth, Maggie, Larry. The visual just changed, so I am not sure who else is here. I thought I could. Thank you, Mr. Zoom Master. Who else? We have Steve and Jill, and I saw Yang, and I saw Marshall. How's my memory? I'm always trying to improve that. Okay, David Jones, there we go. And Tracy Farrell, and Sam Giambattista, Carol, and who else? I think that's everybody. Did I? And my mother, how could I ever forget my mom, Beth? There, I see her in the corner. Oh, my goodness. And in the room here, we have Mary, our Toastmaster of the day, Bridget, and Mike Licata, Mike Florio, Nancy Ferry, Darcy, Chris, Dave Licata, Len, and myself. I am happy to see you all on this morning. We will be transporting ourselves to backyard summer times. Let's first Oh, it is National Backyard Day. I won't steal any of Mary's thunder when she gets up here, but we will start with our inspiration if Beth is ready to give that. Unmute yourself. Perfect. And the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. My inspiration for today. God grant you lightness in your step, a smile on every face you meet, loved ones gathered at your hearth and at your door, good friends to greet, a holy hymn upon your lips, a window candle burning bright, and may the good Lord bless your heart and come to dwell there this night.
Thank you. Please stand for the pledge. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag,
Like,
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. I'd love to welcome Mary, our Toastmaster of the day, up to the floor. And I'll leave this agenda right here for you. I'll leave this one here for you. Is this your first time or second time? Second time. Let's support her, folks.
When everybody comes up, can my evaluators all announce everybody's speakers for me? And can you guys all tell everybody what your favorite yard activity is? I'm gonna start with the word master. Yang?
Um, um, so as a word master, I pick the word of the day, explain its pronunciation and meaning, and keep track of how often it's used during the day, during the meeting. The word of the day is flourish. And it means to grow, thrive, or develop in a healthy way. Thank you. Back to you, uh, Miss Miss Toastmaster.
Kate, do you want to come and announce? You're up next for your role.
Thank you, Mary. I am going to tape the word of the day, and my role is master. I will be keeping track of our, what will I be keeping track of? I love when Margot did this first many years ago and coached me through the best way to introduce your role sometimes is to show what not to do, right? So I'll be tracking those because they weaken our credibility as speakers. And two more announcements I neglected to share when I was opening the meeting. Already, you're passing around in the room is the Q2 schedule. We have our schedule set until April 2nd. Eric is our Toastmaster of the day, and the agenda is already set for that first week of April. The Q2, the rest of the quarter, we're tightening up and looking for your input. Please email me and or Mary about your availability, especially if you're on Zoom and not coming in person in the next couple of weeks. And I will also send out an email reminder about the Q2 schedule. DECA will be with us on April 16th. It's just a few short weeks away, just about a month. So the DECA group will be with us a little early this year. The next announcement was from last week for anybody here in the room or anybody online who didn't fill out the Pathways survey. We're submitting our feedback to Toastmasters International. And if you have feedback about Pathways, we're internally doing this. Maggie set this up as concerns about Pathways and its programming so we can really give them our honest feedback. So I'll send those around. I know many of you already filled those out last week, so I will send these around again. There's no rush, and we'll do more announcements at the end. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster of the day. All right.
So National Backyard Day was founded in 2021. Margot, you're the grammarian today.
Yes, I am the grammarian, and I would appreciate if somebody could email that survey about pathways. I did not receive it last week, or bring it to me. But if you want to truly flourish in your speaking, you need to watch your grammar. And every time I'm grammarian, number one, I do have my crown here, I try to pay attention to something different. So the mistake I'm going to be listening for today, so that you will not be making it, is the use of the word that, which, who, and whom. People are a who or a whom, things or a that and a wish. And lately we've been referring to people as that or witches. So we don't want to do that. It just does not sound correct. So that's what I'll be listening for, as well as the other little foibles that we tend to come out with. But I would love to hear some wonderful uses of the English language as well. Madam Toastmaster.
Nancy, do you have a quote for us?
Toastmaster, what a great theme and word of the day to flourish. This week, it hasn't really looked like there's going to be many flowers, but let's hope that all that rain and cold weather has not stunted our gardens. Not that I have one, but this quote is from Audrey Hepburn. To plant a garden in your backyard is to believe in tomorrow. This one is from our best friend, Anonymous. The soul cannot thrive in a cage. It needs a backyard to breathe and grow. Madam Toastmaster.
Marshall, I think we need a little laughter. Do you have a joke?
Yeah. Thank you. My joke title is Why Isn't He Panicking? Panicking means afraid or scared. There is a well-known military commentator in China, and she had tens of millions of followers. Her catchphrase is, why isn't he panicking? She usually uses it to flourish her videos. Many years ago, after she said, why isn't Saddam Hussein panicking? Because he had a powerful Russia behind him. And then Saddam was killed. And after she said, why isn't Gaddafi panicking? And Gaddafi was killed. And then after she said, why isn't Venezuela's Maduro isn't panicking, and Maduro was arrested. And last month, after she said, why Iran's Khamenei isn't panicking, and all the comments said, Khamenei, run away, she is cursing you. Obviously, Khamenei didn't listen. And even our government couldn't stand her. They shut down her account and removed all her videos. And they said, now Putin's friends are either in prison or in hell. There are only two friends left, China and North Korea. If she keeps seeing why someone isn't panicking, Putin will only have one friend left. Some Chinese are quite tolerant about her. Well, we said if someone can give wrong answers for 20 years and never right, maybe she knows the truth, but they didn't dare to tell us. Thank you.
Dave, I believe you're my timer today, and we should time you too.
If you wish to flourish, you should spend more time in your backyard. That's for sure. Which brings us to timer. See how I worked that in? Wasn't a stretch at all. No. We time table topics here. We time the evaluators and we time the speakers. Table topics is going to go from 1 until 2 minutes. You have a 15-second buffer on either side, the short side or the long side. So you're going to get green at 1, yellow at 1:30, and you're going to get at 2 minutes, you're going to get the red. So please cut off. The speeches are special cases. Most of the speeches here are 5 to 7, and you get a 30-second buffer for those, not a 15-second. And on evaluation, you're going to get a light at 2. It's a 2 to 3 minute evaluation, but it's a 30-second buffer, not a 15-second buffer, because we want to help people get ready for the next time they speak. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
I should probably introduce my general evaluator before I go on with the rest of the meeting. So, David Jones.
Good morning, Madam Toastmaster, and good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests. National Backyard Day, yes, that it would be gardening for me. And right now, my golden berries and blueberries are starting to flourish. Even though it's 31 degrees here, they're still starting to pop up the leaves. Now, as general evaluator, I will be evaluating the meeting as a whole, but specifically the evaluators. And at your request, I will be calling on the functionaries at the end of the meeting. So thank you, Madam Toastmaster.
Tracy, are you there for Quizmaster?
I am. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. My job as Quizmaster is to help all of you Toastmasters flourish in your listening skills. In order to do that, I'll be focusing in on the little details that we all say today and testing you at the end of the meeting. Madam Toastmaster.
Steve, you can call up on 3 people. He's mute.
There we go.
Oh, Steve, Joe Budnick is also here too.
Thank you. Okay. I have the fun job of table topics this week. Made even more fun by the fact that I'm here and not there, which makes it harder for me to see who's available. But I have a few names. We've had a pretty difficult week. At one point, we had no vehicles. They were all in the shop. The car broke down, and while we were running the truck decided that it wasn't going to give us any brakes. So we're not getting any brakes this week, but we got one vehicle back, but we still decided it's enough's enough. So we zoomed in this morning. And I had to look this up because I really didn't know what National Backyard Day was. And I said, oh, well, that seems obvious when I read it. So I have a few names here that I've managed to glean. Kate read them off, but it was too fast for me to write. My hands don't work that fast anymore. But I managed to glean a few. So let's see. I understand Darcy is there and she doesn't have a role. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, well, then let's get her up there. And do remember to use the word of the day, which is, what the heck was it here? Oh, flourish. Flourish. Make sure you use the word of the day. Hello.
Good morning.
Tell us about your backyard and what you like to do in it.
All right. Thank you for this opportunity, Mr. Table Topics Master. You know, I've been a member of this club for several months now, and I have very few times that I've been called on table topics, which is really the thing that I really need the most. So I'm glad for this opportunity. So let's talk about then and now. Then, when my daughter was young, I wanted to provide a really fun backyard for her. So when she was about 4 or 5 years old, I put in a pool, just a above ground tin can. But I got the deeper, an extra foot of water. And she was in there every day. She loved it. She just swam and swam and swam. Me, on the other hand, I'd go in and play with her sometimes, but it's kind of cold for me. And I also got a trampoline. And every winter, every fall, I'd have to take it apart, and you take the net down, and you take the bottom down, put it away so it doesn't get dry rot and would last longer. And one of the funnest things I got for her was one of those blow up, oh, I don't know, those big blow up things that has a slide and you put the water in, and I think we went through three of those because they just didn't last more than a couple of years. So that was then. Now I have a big pond in my backyard. I don't go swimming in it because, well, first of all, it's too cold. But second of all, there's like snakes that are this long and there's big old snapping turtles. And I kind of stay out of that. And it takes me 3 or 4 hours to mow my grass because now I've started mowing in the pasture and I mow a path around the pasture so I can walk and see the snakes before I step on them. And so that's what my backyard is now. Mr. Table Topics.
Thank you. You brought up an interesting point. We have a 700-foot lot here, most of it's backyard, and right now most of it's underwater. If not standing water, it's too wet that you would not want to walk out there. But when it is, we do lots of things out there. We garden. I have a fire pit so we can sit around and drink. I sit around and watch the stars, which I love to do in the backyard. And that's actually a smart thing to do because then I know where things are when I go down and do my star shows. So I was told that Joe Budnick's available. So can we get Joe up there?
He's hiding behind everybody.
Too late. Don't. Now wait till he gets up here. I see him. Hi, Joe.
Howdy.
I got to thinking about this. We do with our backyards, but then everybody doesn't have one. Do you even have a backyard, and what do you do with it?
Thank you, Steve. Yes, I have a backyard. I had a huge backyard at my old house on Ewings Road. Sometimes I miss it. But our new house, we have a smaller backyard, but it's still nice. And I love to go outside at night when it's warm, not in this godforsaken weather, and listen to music. I bring my cell phone out or I bring my iPad at night and I like to listen to music and I like to listen to the crickets and the frogs and that sort of thing. And it really does flourish during the springtime. I've always liked being outside at night. Even sometimes in the wintertime, I like to look up, I like to stargaze, I like the thank you. Like the sights, the sounds, but of course I like a nice sunny day too, along with everybody else too, also. And when Darcy talked about snakes, I actually like snakes. I've always liked snakes. They don't bother me in the least. It's spiders I can't stand. I remember when I was about 9 years old, I caught this garter snake in the backyard and I wrapped it around a stick. He was a cute little thing. And I walked in the house with it behind my back. I said, "Hey, Mom,
Yeah.
I have a surprise for you." "Get that thing out of the house." I got it out of the house because I kind of figured I probably wouldn't have a house to live in if I didn't at that point. Yeah. I liked my home. I didn't want to lose it. Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Miss Toastmaster.
Oh, it's Toastmaster. Okay.
They all like to jump.
Okay. One more. Let's see. She's going to love me for this, but she's in the other room and can't get her hands on me. Jill, I mentioned that our yard is underwater, which you know it is. So what is it you like to do out there when we can get out there to do anything?
Oh, thank you so much, Steve.
I knew you'd love that.
I just knew this was coming.
I warned you.
Yeah, you did. Didn't tell me what the question was going to be.
Nope.
I like to go out and watch things flourish out there. I also enjoy us even when we go out and cut lumber up, I should say cut logs up and bring them up front so that we can burn them in the garage or in the fire pit. I even sometimes enjoy weeding, depending on how soft the ground is and how big the weed is. Sometimes they get pretty big and you start pulling on them and you kind of lose your balance and go backwards on your butt. And that's not a good way to flourish. And generally, I just like walking around out there and seeing all the wildlife, all the growth, and hopefully not seeing too many invasive plants. And if I do, I try to take notice where they are so I can bring the loppers out and knock them down, or the chainsaw. So that's what we do to keep our backyard flourishing. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master.
Well, thank you, Jill. That whoop, my pen's falling apart. That concludes our three for the day. So let's get a timer's report. If we can. Timer. Oh, Dave.
He's coming, Steve. I know.
All that way for such a brief report. Everyone qualified. So time-wise, everyone's eligible for the vote. Darcy, 1 minute 44. Joe, 1 minute and 27 seconds. And Jill, 1:23. There you have it. Now let's see how they did with the word.
Yes, let's get our word master report.
Word.
That got nothing to do with me. I'm timer.
Yes, let's get a word master report.
Right.
Yang.
Yes. I was stepped away for like 5 minutes, so I missed part of the speech. But Nancy said one time. Marshall said one time. David said one time. Stephen, you said one time. Joe said one time. Jill said twice. So that's all. Thank you.
Okay.
Darcy didn't say it.
So it sounds like everybody qualified.
No, Steve, Darcy didn't say it.
Darcy did not say it. I didn't think I heard her. Okay. I thought she said that she did. Okay, in that case, we have Joe and Jill. You can vote for.
They're telling me that Darcy did say it.
Did say it. Make up your mind. Okay, so you can vote for Darcy, Joe, or Jill. Back to you, Madam Toastmaster.
So I could have picked St. Joseph's Day or St. Patrick's Day, but I wanted to be a little different. And today, actually, Jill, just so you know, today is supposed to be the longest day that you're supposed to spend out in your backyard. Everybody please vote. I'm going. Larry, are you ready to introduce Les? Is he there?
I am here. I was just taking care of my vote. Are we ready for the speaking portion of our program, Madam Toastmaster?
Yes. Can you please introduce him?
Yes, I will. This morning, I have the opportunity to evaluate Les Robinson. Les will be working on engaging humor, level 2. And the project entails knowing your sense of humor, which will be a collection of humorous stories presented in a speech or at least using one story with humor. The time is 5 to 7 minutes. Les Robinson, bad humor kills. Bad humor kills. Les Robinson. Les, you're up. Well, it looks like I might be giving a speech today.
Larry, we're gonna come back to you.
Sure.
Bill, are you ready to introduce Mike Licata?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. We'll start with me and we'll go forward. We shall flourish today. Today, Mike Licata is working out of the path engaging humor. His speech title is Social Media Changes Over Time. Now, his purpose is this. The purpose of this project is for the member to apply their understanding of social media to enhance an established or new social media presence. The purpose of this speech is for the member to share some aspects of his or her experience establishing or enhancing a social media presence. It will be Mike Licata. Social media changes over time, 5 to 7 minutes. Mike Licata, social media, social media changes over time. Mike Licata. Go ahead, Michael.
Thank you, Phil. Good morning. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and our guests this morning. I could have made this speech title easier and just said, what nonsense can I add to my resume down the line? But I came up with that later. This speech, I've given some version of the speech before. That's, again, the pathways evaluation that Maggie's putting together. But anyway, I can actually definitively say that I have been on Facebook longer than the general public and most people on this planet that weren't at Harvard in 2004 and 2005. Because one of the first things I did when I was on a college campus was join Facebook in the fall of 2005 because it was this brand new platform that a lot of college kids used to figure out what they did the night before. And it became an in vogue thing that really flourished on college campuses. It changed how we talked to people. It changed how we communicated. It changed, I think later on, it changed a lot of our brain chemistry as the evolution of social media has become so predicated in people's lives. So I went from having my own social media account and doing social media on Facebook, blossoming into Instagram, which blossomed into Twitter, which blossomed into a lot of different social media platforms and I don't participate in for a number of different reasons. But I feel that everything when it comes to building a social media presence starts with Facebook because while it wasn't the first, it was the simplest. It was the simplest for users. It made the most sense for kids on a college campus because going back to the start of Facebook, to join initially, your email address had to have a .edu ending, which is what made the difference. But it was it was about 2006, 2007 is when they decided they opened it up beyond college campuses. What does building a social media presence feel like now? I actually, when I log in on the Facebook app on my phone, I actually have access to 3 different Facebook profiles. I have my personal Facebook profile. I am also in charge of, or I have access to the Margin Manor at the Falls Facebook profile, which I share with Margot and a couple different other people. And actually, in the recent months, I have launched a Facebook page for our Umpires Association because we need to use it as a recruiting tool when it comes to trying to find new umpires and trying to find people that want to do a summer job. And social media is one of those things that dealing with an older generation, it's harder to explain. So I decided to take charge of it. Now, the interesting thing about having 3 different profiles and having access to 3 different profiles through Facebook on my phone is the fact that I use each profile differently. The personal one, obviously, is the one I've had the longest. It is the one that I probably spend more time on than anything else. The Margin at the Falls Facebook profile that I use is actually interesting because it is when you have an established brand like Margot has with the winery, you use the Facebook at the Falls profile as a way to connect with potential customers. It's a way to answer questions. It creates a two-way street when it comes to trying to develop your different brands and building out that Facebook profile. So it's also very, very interesting in terms of the way you communicate with the public, the way you use the profile, the way you're able to connect on different people. Now, the recruiting tool that we hope to use with the Lockport Umpires Association is a little bit different because right now I think I'm just using it as a placeholder because I've only started it about 3 months ago. One of the things that we have to figure out, and not to get too far into the weeds of the way that things work, but any pictures you put online, you have to make sure you have to check the copyright laws because I've done previous online work where you don't exactly get the right approvals when it comes to putting stuff on social media. So we have to make sure that it is important that you don't have to get the thing taken down. Copyright claims are, again, in the weeds when it comes to different things. When it comes to pictures and videos and actually audio, more so than anything else you kind of put on social media. So it's also it's building a social media presence in 3 different ways. I think that it is one of those deals where I have all this experience with social media. I've built out to other platforms like Instagram and Twitter. I always find it interesting because when you build out a social media profile, when you get you use this, and I've seen when you use these tools to connect with people, it's important to realize that when it comes to developing a social media profile, I've seen it from the beginning. I have no idea where it's going to go in the future, but I do know that people are going to continue to use it, and it is going to be an important resource going forward. Madam Toastmaster.
Welcome back, Alicia. Thank you for attending the meeting. Mighty, can you introduce Mike Florio?
Thank you, Mary. Our third speaker today is Mike Florio. Mike is working from the Presentation Mastery Path. It's elective 3, connect with your audience. Timer, the time is 5 to 7 minutes. And the speech title is Urban Farmer. That's my bucket. Please help me welcome Mike Florio. Mike, morning.
Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. I don't know if we have any guests. Chris and Alicia, welcome, welcome. I'm not a farmer, but I have a lot of respect for farmers. Anyone who can live off the land, feed thousands of people, gets my total respect, okay? Total respect. I'm more of a backyard bucket gardener. If anyone's ever seen any of my previous speeches, I've used buckets to grow my tomatoes, grow my peppers, a few cucumbers, a few things like that. That's what I do in the backyard to have fun, and I really enjoy it. My degree is in financial management, so I like saving, investing, and trading stocks. A lot of that's a mystery to people, but I try and keep it simple. Farming for me and investing are fundamentally similar because both require patience, diversification, risk management, and a long-term perspective to bear fruit. Just as farmers plant seeds, nurture crops, and wait for the harvest, an investor allocates capital, manages a portfolio, and waits for growth, demonstrating that both involve slow in sowing today for a better tomorrow. It takes time. Warren Buffett, probably the best investor in the world, said, no one buys a farm based on whether they think it will rain next year. They buy it because they think it's going to be a good investment in 10 or 20 years down the road. It takes patience and time. That's the first thing, to have a long-term perspective. Farmers cannot force a crop to grow any faster, just as an investor can't force the market to rise quickly. Both activities teach us that success is a gradual process that rewards those who hold on to their assets, whether it be land or stocks, through bad seasons. 2, diversification, managing risk. Farmers rarely plant a single crop to avoid total failure due to the weather or pests. Similarly, Investors diversify across asset classes, stocks, bonds, real estate, to mitigate risk. In other words, don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you do, you better make sure you watch that basket. Preparation for volatility is the next. Weathering the storms. Both fields involve uncontrollable factors. Weather for farmers, market volatility for investors. Both require cash reserves or working capital and resilience to survive dry seasons and down markets. Next, you have to actively nurture and strategize the method. A farmer must actively manage, fertilize, protect crops to get a high yield. An investor must study, research, and rebalance their portfolio to achieve high returns, ensuring that sowing is done in fertile ground. The harvest, that's probably the best part for me, is the harvest part. The harvest mentality. Both seek to create wealth over time. The ultimate goal is to generate a return or an ROI that provides substantial income. In America today, it's kind of sad that 50% of the people of Americans live paycheck to paycheck. And all it takes really, in my mind, is if you save maybe say 15% of your income. I know that seems like a high bar, but slowly over time, if you start with 2%, maybe 3, then 10, and then get to 15, you create a cushion for yourself so that if tough times do come, you're prepared for it. 18 million people live off some type of government assistance. That's pretty tough. In summary, successful investing is not about the quick gambling, but rather the law of the farm, a disciplined, strategic approach that understands the necessity of time and nurturing. Don't bet the farm. Keep investments simple. Diversify. That's what Warren Buffett says. This is how you win the game of finance. Thank you. Adam Toastmasters.
Larry, are you finally ready to introduce Les?
No. Oh, just kidding. This will be part 2. So if you watched earlier on our video later, you'll see that I already did this, but we'll do it again. Good morning, everyone. I have the opportunity this morning to evaluate Les Robinson. Les will be working on the path Engaging Humor, Level 2, Knowing Your Sense of Humor. There will be a collection of humorous stories, or at least one story with humor that he presents in his speech, which will be 5 to 7 minutes, Mr. Timer. Les Robinson, Bad Humor Kills. Bad Humor Kills. Les Robinson.
Morning, everybody. Bad humor kills. And this is going to be a little bit different speech because I'm going to go back to 20 years ago. 20 years ago, when I was in Toastmasters, they had humorous speeches, and one of the important things it talked about was understanding your audience when you did your humor. And I kind of took that to heart when I done my speeches through the years and spoke at groups, organizations, talking with people. And if you actually sit back and look at everything and you realize that your sense of humor helps bring in new friends, helps bring in new business relationships, new clients, referrals, when you're dating, all of that is very important. And then again, I started, and I redid this one, is knowing your sense of humor. And it was almost like deja vu from 20 years ago, is understanding your sense of humor. And in today, if you say the wrong joke or do the wrong thing, it's a total disaster. Now, when I spoke earlier in my career in seminars or went out on dates or had friends, prior to really understanding your sense of humor, I would say some really bad jokes really irritate a lot of people. And that still hung around with me here and there. But as I have approached the national speaking level of speaking at national organizations, speaking at groups, one thing I have learned and I've watched people that have got up there and have presented great speeches and had a bad sense of humor or irritated the group and they did not get invited back. When you get to that certain level, and I have spoke at that level, I had to talk very neutral, and the jokes had to be very neutral. If I went up there and told jokes how I am personally, I would never be invited back. Also, they videotape you, and if you say a bad joke, that will haunt you. And here is the whole secret of knowing your sense of humor is you have to find a joke in the group that will change the opening paradigm. It breaks the static of a boring speech or a speech. The humor energizes the group. And I have basically a couple jokes that I use. Number one is when I'm doing a class seminar, I ask everybody if they're here, and I say very simple, which is actually based on a truth event. I had a person in the class after 20 minutes, they raised their hand and they asked if this was the, court approved defensive driving. I said, no, it's across the hall, and everybody laughed. That is a very neutral joke. Next one I use is what is the difference between a giraffe and all the animals? And everybody kind of thinks for a second, and I say they have baby giraffes, and that one gets a good laugh. If you go out of the wrong sense of humor, and I can't really tell jokes that well. If you go into the wrong sense of humor, you will be in front of a national spotlight, a group, an organization, a business, on a date with your friends. And if you go out and you say the wrong joke, it kind of ruins everything. That's why your sense of humor can kill your social life, can kill your business life, can kill your referrals. Understanding your sense of humor is very important. And when I worked on this speech, I looked at a lot of different ways on how to present this. And I ran into Phil on St. Patty's Day, and I told him, I said, I'm doing a speech about humor that's very little humor. I'm talking about the importance of doing the speech. And I do believe that this idea of knowing your audience, knowing your jokes, when I'm around my core friends, I can tell any kind of joke and they can tell any kind of joke. But once you get out of that area, same thing with clients. There's other clients that I have to be very regimental on, people I deal with. But the more you can understand that, you can then tailor your humor to being very funny, but very neutral. Because once you fall out of that neutral area, you will in turn offend someone in your career. It will also affect your friends with people. It's a lose-lose. So understanding your sense of humor, I think in Toastmasters now is one of the most important things you need to understand. You can learn the pause, the gesturing, you can learn all of that important stuff. But if behind it you're telling very bad jokes or a sense of humor that's irritating a group of people, I have done this in the past where I've been places and thought something was very funny, and everybody kind of looked at me and I realized it wasn't. It does happen. It's probably happened to all of us. But understanding your sense of humor is very important to your success, all of it, because if your sense of humor is bad, people are not going to want to be around you. And when I was at my last event, the ILTCI, there was a person that has been going there forever. He walked in. I am so glad. And doing the speech, understand the virus you could have in your humor that can detract your relationships. And if you don't do it correctly, a good sense of humor will cause your career, your life not to be flourish. Thank you very much.
Can I have a timer's report, please? Yeah, you are here on time.
It's killing me though. All three speakers qualify time-wise. Les, 5 minutes, 54 seconds. Mike Licata, 6 minutes, 43 seconds. Mike Florio, 5 minutes and 16 seconds. That's my report for the timers, Madam Toastmaster.
Please vote. David Jones, I guess I'm going to hand the meeting off to you. As you do.
Thank you.
And you can call the evaluators too.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. Good morning, everybody, again. As a general evaluator, I'm going to evaluate the meeting as a whole, the evaluators, and then I will call on the functionaries to give their reports. We started on time, which is always a good thing, and I don't think we've ever not started on time unless there was really bad weather outside. I thought the Toastmaster had a great theme, National Backyard Day. We could all relate to it, and we could participate with her. The other thing I liked was the Master and Grammarian explained their roles, and I think that's an important part, even though we didn't have any guests. Well, actually, I think we do have a guest, but to explain the roles before we do them so everybody understands what's going on, we kind of get into our routines where we assume everybody knows. And I was spanked the other day at my other club as Table Topics Master. I did a great Table Topics, but we had like 10 guests and I didn't explain what we were doing as Table Topics Master. Therefore, we always have to explain it because you never know who is confused. Our timer, Dave, why do we time? You didn't explain why we didn't time. And not to pick on you, but you said you came all the way up there for such a small report. There are no small reports in Toastmasters, only small speakers, and we know you're not a small speaker, so maybe you misspoke. Table Topics Master, I appreciate that you reminded us to use the word of the day. Another thing I got spanked for the other day as well. Now, all three I am really out of, all right. I was going to evaluate the evaluators, but obviously I cannot. Therefore, I'm going to call on the first that came up, which would be Phil. Well, if I wasn't general evaluator, I would be in trouble with myself, but all right, Phil, how did Mike Licata do? Thank you.
Michael has flourished at speaking and presenting ever since he joined this Toastmasters group. Mr. General Evaluator, Toastmaster, Toastmasters, and any guests that might be out there. I have seen Michael from his very beginning in Toastmasters. He truly has flourished. He started off like we all do, nervous and having a hard time with different things. Now, he has grown into an excellent Toastmaster. I didn't realize his history. This is one thing he really woke me up with. He was one of the first people to do social media. That's why he knows it. He has the history of using it back when he started. That's great. He's young enough. He did it. More importantly, he stuck with it. He has that persistence to work at it and maintain all that he does. He mentioned about his work, his hobby at the Margin Manor. And baseball, he uses it and he flourishes at it. Now, he asked me to look for, and I think that this is important when he responded back, repeating himself. I did not notice that. I thought his timing, his speaking was excellent. The one thing I did notice that he could work on a few times, and I think it was during his thing about baseball, saying something about baseball. He sped up and I missed it. Now, I'm not the best at hearing. I do have hearing deficit, and I just heard that at times he speeds up. So just work on pacing yourself. For the most part, he is okay at pacing himself. Now, challenge yourself. Challenge yourself with this. Become more animated, either facial expressions or with hand gestures. You are at the lectern. You can become much more animated there. On Zoom, it's a little bit more difficult. Social media, it's difficult. But when you have that lectern, when you have control, use it. Your gestures were okay, but fix them all up. You have knowledge and experience. That's the best part. And your persistence is great. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Mr. Evaluator. And I saw Phil in the corner laughing. I thought he was laughing at my jokes, but he was laughing at me for going out of order, so I appreciate that. Our next evaluator will be Marty, who is going to evaluate Mike Florio.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Thank you, David, and especially Mike. Mike, I enjoyed your speech. I like how you tied the title in with the meeting theme. I don't know if you did that on purpose or not, but I thought that was great. You spoke with clarity, and I was going down through the guide and for the speech. That's one thing that stood out. I know when I spoke with you before the meeting, you said that you wanted more than a conversational tone in your speech, and I feel that you did that. And something brilliant that you did that I liked, really enjoyed, was how you used the analogy of backyard farming and how you grew things in buckets with investing. I thought that was pretty genius of you. And I liked how you enumerated your main points in the beginning. You had 3 main points and you used your hand and your finger for the main points. And again, a great analogy of farming and investing. And the points were clear. And moving on to how you could improve to make that even hit your point home even more vividly. I would have liked to seen you use broader gestures, perhaps a bucket with cucumbers and how they flourished. And perhaps you could do that. I would love to hear this speech again. And I would specifically love to hear the speech again with just a little better eye contact and some memorization. Because you knew the material. You definitely knew the material. And I liked the quote that you had from Warren Buffett. I thought that was very timely, how you used that in your speech. To challenge yourself, I personally would like to see you give the speech again. And because we are in a professional setting, perhaps without your hat, that's my personal suggestion. I know you can do it. And I would suggest for your next speech, what I've found when I've given my most memorable speeches that I've given, maybe a couple of them, that I practice the speech in chunks, like practice the introduction. You nailed that. So that's done. Introduction's done. Then work on your main points. Memorize the main points so you don't have to look at your note. I know you only did a couple times, but I feel if you memorize that in chunks, the best you can, and also your summary, and I give you kudos for doing that, because sometimes people, when we speak, we don't rehash and give our main points in the conclusion. But you had a wonderful summary. I feel that with those couple little points that I gave you, I think that it would be definitely a winning speech. I think it was a winning speech today, but it would be even better. And I can't wait to hear you speak again. Thank you, Mike. Madam Toastmaster of the Day, or actually we'll have you want a timer's report for the evaluators first? General Evaluator David, turn the meeting back to you. Thank you, David.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster. And next up, Larry. Larry, how did Les do?
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Everyone seems to forget about us this morning over here, but Les and I had a task today. Mine was to evaluate Les, and Les was to present a speech in regards to knowing your sense of humor. There were some computer issues earlier, and Les was able to work through those and present his speech to us, which I give him kudos for instead of giving up on that, which was great. Thank you, Les, for doing that. Les today was tasked with giving us his analogy of knowing his sense of humor. And I think he did that. He explained to us about how over the course of 20 years he's been giving many different presentations and to larger groups. And in those presentations, you had to instill maybe some humor, which I can relate to because over the course of many, many years, I was on stage and presenting to a lot of college students or different corporate events. And one of the things that I learned over those times, which I believe that you've probably picked up, is that you have to know your audience. Because I was working with some college kids and I presented some anecdotes which I thought were quite humorous, but they were age related. I was, to some of them, maybe a grandfather. So my jokes were in that respect. Now, today you gave us a couple of your jokes that you had used. One was the giraffe joke about uh, having babies. I think that in your presentation with those and how you work them in and trying to explain that to us was good. What I would have liked to have seen was when you were presenting those was your vocal. You were pretty monotone through your entire speech. And when you're presenting something that might be humorous, maybe just a little bit of enthusiastic voice change or something like that would emphasize and bring that a little bit more forward for us. One of the things that I think that I've related to is there's a speaker, his name was Connor Caneen. He's a Toastmaster. And one of the things that he did was he wrote a book, and the book was What Mark Twain Learned Me About Public Speaking and how to use some anecdotes in your speech or humor. And he said one of the most important things, and this was a Mark Twain quote, was get your facts first. Then you can distort them any way you want to. That's a Mark Twain quote. With that, you had your facts today. You presented them and how you have used humor throughout your speaking career and how bad humor could actually kill your entire speech. Today, when you were presenting, I enjoyed what you did. One of the things that I would say that you had a very quick ending. I would say work on perhaps presenting that with a more defined ending. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator, and thank you, Les.
Thank you, Toastmaster Larry, for that evaluation. Now I will proceed with my evaluation. Oh, no, I will not. Wow, I'm really off. We're going to have a very enthusiastic timers report, I believe. A wonderful, cheerful timers report. Who's not on deck? Come on, Dave. There he is.
It was 7 years ago. Why do we time? Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and guests. The goal here is to be concise, to be economic in word and thought, and that's why we time. And through the timing and through the years with some members, we've seen them stop double clutching, and by that I mean mention the same subject and the same highlights of their speech more than once, because time is limited. Early in my Sunrise Optimist career, the Optimists are famous for a youth oratorical contest. They knew about Toastmasters, so they asked me to help out. The first time there was an oratorical contest, there was 8 participants. I got the judges in a room, all 8 speakers are done. I said, hey, you got it easy today, because 6 of those kids were too long. And they said, we don't care about that. I said, you don't care about time? No, we don't care about time. I have never helped them with an oratorical contest since. And that was over 25 years ago. All right, our first evaluator, Phil Russell, qualified at 3:13. Marty qualified at 3:15, and Larry was so impressed with Marty's 3:15 that he qualified with 3:20. And that's the end of me for today, Madam Toastmaster. Yeah.
Now you can evaluate the evaluator.
Yep. Thank you very much, Mary. Let me do a quick vote. Okay. All right, so all 3 evaluators today have much more experience and tenure than I do, but they all followed the sandwich approach, giving good feedback, room for improvement, and then encouragement or additional good things at the end. So I think all 3 of them did well. And especially kudos to Larry, who had to do it twice due to technical difficulties. So thank you. And you don't have to give the evaluation twice. I think the first time was good. The only other feedback I have for the meeting is Toastmaster of the Day should remain close to the lectern so we can hand it off and always have it guarded and available going forward. And with that, I'm going to call on our functionaries, starting with our Quizmaster. Let's see if we were all listening to the meeting today. So Quizmaster is...
It's Tracy.
Sorry.
Oh, Tracy's
Sorry.
down yonder. Okay.
I got distracted. However, as quiz today, I'll start off with, what is David Jones growing in his backyard? Does anybody remember?
Do I say it?
Blueberries.
Blueberries and what else? What'd you say, Mary?
Blueberries and something else.
I believe it was June berries, was it not?
Golden berries.
Goldberries.
Okay.
Goldenberry.
Okay, so the Quizmaster got it wrong. What does Mike Licata say the first people on who were the first people on Facebook?
College students.
They were students from what college? University?
Harvard.
Harvard.
Absolutely. Harvard University. And how much of our income does Mike Florio say we need to be saving and investing?
15%.
Absolutely. You guys have just flourished. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Madam Quizmaster. And next up, who I probably kept very busy, our Master, Kate Orr.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. So far, I'm going to report the so far we've had, and I'll say this, who is less than 5 restarts, more than 5. We'll stop at 5 often. We don't have to get too persnickety, or none. Less than 5, Darcy, Joe, Jill, Mike, Phil, Marty, Mike Licata and Mike Florio, Les, David Jones, Larry, more than 5, Steve. Steve, you had a bunch. Yeah, they're quiet, but you have like a grunt. You did a grunt. Watch those. Maybe listen for those or try to block those out. I didn't hear more than 5 from anyone else today. Even Mary, that's challenging as Toastmaster of the day. I heard none from Margot, and I think that's it. So all of us can tighten up a bit on dropping the ahs, ums. Oh, none from Marty either, since I don't have him on my list. There must have been none. Very well spoken day today. I'm sure I had less than 5. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Kate. And another person I probably kept very busy, Margot, our grammarian. How did everybody do today?
How do we do today? Today, our usual foibles flourished a bit. Gonna, wanna, and other missing genes are usual habits. And extended sentences into paragraphs, unfortunately. Start overs assorted my ears, as you can hear but not see. However, the good uses of the English language made my heart sing. There are so many, my rhymes became very confusing. So now I'll relate them in a list for you. So here we go. And there are quite a few. I heard glean, invasive plants. College students figured out what they did the night before. I like that one. In vogue, blossom into bucket gardener, break the paradigm, got spanked the other day. Persistence, analogy, enumerated, kudos, economic in word and thought. So that's my grammarian's report for today. Please let your language flourish as you go on your way, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you, Toastmaster Margot. And Yang, how did the word of the day do?
Let's say the word. Margot says the word. Phil says the word. Tracy says the word. That's the one I got. Like, probably I missed some. Back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Now I'll relinquish control back to our Toastmaster of the day. And Toastmaster of the day, Eric does have an announcement. Thank you.
Oh, Eric does? Okay.
I return control to you, Mary. Yeah.
Does Eric have an announcement?
He does. He was probably waiting for your prompt.
Eric, go ahead.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. Just a quick reminder that, hold on, let me get the thing up on here. All right, here we go. Good morning, everybody. I just want to let everybody for a reminder that I'm still looking for club officers for the next term. So if anybody's interested, we have slots available. So please give me a call or email me. I will respond to both. So I want to get done by the end of next week for the Thursday, April 2nd meeting. So please let me know, and I look forward to hearing back from you. Thank you, Mary.
Do you have an announcement or I have winners? Joe Budnick, you're the winner for table topic. I don't have the best speaker, but the best evaluator is Bill Russell. I have one for you, Phil. And the best speaker today is Mike Florio. Do you want to have him intro?
Mary, Jill has an announcement too.
Okay, well, Mike, you can announce the 50-50. It could be you.
It could be me. Here we go. Mary, wait, don't go anywhere. Tell me what.
It's 9-0.
190. Wasn't me.
Is it you?
Nancy, come on up. Or no. collect your cash. Yeah.
Oh, I'm supposed to shake your hand. I ask Jill for her announcement. Jill, do you have an announcement?
Yes, I do. Steve talked about our vehicle problems, but there was another one that was more substantial, actually. And Monday night, while we were over there, my father fell down and broke his other hip. About 2.5 years after he broke the right one, he broke the left one the other night. So he had surgery today. He went yesterday. He went through it just fairly well. So in addition to trying to deal with other cars, we've been going back and forth to the VA hospital. And we spent the night over at his house Monday night and just stuff like that that has made it a little bit interesting for the week. Fortunately, Dad didn't need his vehicle, so we used his for a day or two. As Steve said, we have our car back now. So thank everybody for your prayers for him. I appreciate it. Okay? That's all.
Jill, can you stay on for a second?
Yeah.
We will keep your dad in our prayers and you and Steve. I'm not sure if with all the busyness happening, you noticed your Toastmaster next week. Would you still like to do that? Or would you like to step back? Or no decision needed right away?
How about if I step back?
Okay. Thank you, Jill, and we'll support you. If anyone in the room or the space on Zoom wants to already step in, please do. We'll work it out this week. If not, our speakers lined up for next week are Beth, David, and Margot. David Jones. Beth, David Jones, and Margot. Our alternate is Marshall. Marshall, if you're still on, I cannot tell. My mother wasn't feeling great and was wondering if you could step in, Marshall, next week, if you are available to speak. As alternate, you could be speaker one instead. So think about it, or you can tell me now, and we'll.
Oh, I already prepared. If
He is
there
so
is
prepared. All right, Marshall is on for speaker one. Look at that. All right, awesome. Thank you, Jill. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Marshall. Okay, what else do we have? Announcements. The contest last weekend went very well, and we don't have anybody moving on to the next level, but we're super excited that we had such a fantastic representation with Larry and Maggie and David as competitors. And let's see, I see that David Licata has maybe another announcement. We didn't ever do a toast either. I was trying to I did bring my cup up here to backyard activities. My favorite backyard activity is a good bonfire. Anybody else? Let's have a bonfire soon once things get warmer. Or David Jones, we're just going to fly down to your backyard since it's warm already. David Licata, come back up. And maybe we have time, maybe not, to let anybody who didn't speak today share a little bit, but Dave first. So be timely so we can let others speak who haven't yet. There are 4 of them, I think. I know. You and me, we speak the most.
I don't know if there's anyone in the room that remembers Toastmaster Gene Campbell, but he went on Facebook yesterday and said that his wife fell down. She had blood clots. She's in not very good shape. So if you could say a prayer for his wife today, that would be great. Thank you very much.
Are we shaking hands? That's right. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in the space that would like to share about their favorite backyard activities? Especially, and I also noticed, Yang, you had less than 5 ums and ahs I caught at the end report, and I never said flourish. I hope we flourish better today than this meeting because, boy, this has been a roller coaster. We still flourished, nevertheless. Anybody on Zoom? I'm not sure if Alicia is still there. I know she's attended as a guest, and thank you, David, for inviting her. Anybody else? We have Carol. Carol Ann, would you like to share your favorite backyard activity? What do you think?
Yes, of course, I like being outside in nice weather. And I think the thing I like to do most is probably reading a good book.
I love it. Sit in the sunshine, or on a rainy day on the porch, read a book. Awesome. Thank you, Carol. Anyone else? Alicia, are you there? I know you're off screen. You can observe as often as you like. And then Chris in the room, did you want to share what you like to do or pass today? No pressure, no pressure. He's passing. All right. And I don't see Alicia. All right. Where are we headed for breakfast, folks? A few of us, and then Mr. Treasurer wants to come back up because dues are due, folks. Oh, and Marty wants to come up too. All right. It's 8:20, so let's not go too long. All right. First, we have Mr. Treasurer, first Mr. Treasurer. First, Mr. Vice President of Membership, and then Mr. Treasurer. And I'm sitting down.
Thank you, Kate. 30 seconds. Just a quick, very important reminder that dues are due. And for any new members or prospects or people that have been repeating guests, we encourage you to join. We encourage you to join. Chris Kelly, I know will be joining. Zach is not here today. I don't believe he was here. He will be joining. They all have the paperwork. Maggie has a friend that is interested in joining, so I'm trying to gather that information. And then Alicia, you're welcome to join. Dues are due. I hope you all take advantage of it. The new section or portion of the year starts in April 1st. So we would hope to have your dues before April 1st. See any club officer for further details. Thank you very much. Michael, back to you.
Thank you, Marty. First of all, I want to thank everybody that has paid so far. You can mail me a check if you want, but I also want to thank Len for setting up. You can also pay through PayPal if you needed to. That is through our AM Lockport website. The link is right there. It costs a little bit more, but it's a good convenience fee. $66 for 6 months for the same membership, and then if you're new joining, it is a $25 fee attached. But with that, I will gavel the meeting closed. I want to thank everybody and have a good week.